Okay, so I'm going to move right on into our hips. Talk about moving our hips, right? So what I want you to realize is that, first of all, take your feet apart. We're going to pretend like we're only focusing on our hips right now, and I'm going to go ahead and put my hands right here on my hips so that you guys can see what's going on. I want you to act like you have literally like cinder blocks sitting on your shoulders so you can't rise from here at all. Cinder blocks are on your shoulders can't come up. So we're going to push those shoulders down. Put your hands on your hips if you can see in a mirror or something so you can watch yourself. What you want to do is we're going to go ahead and rise all the way up. So unlike our foot drill that moved our whole body like this, now we have these cinder blocks on our shoulders. So we're really only going to focus on moving our hips. So you see how my right hand just came up? So we went up and down and up. So doing our foot drill, if you can get up to the toe, get up to the toe if you can, that's tough, and down, okay? So we're gonna do that some more. I wanna take it by the other side. So when we do it, we're gonna go up, good, and you see how my left hand's higher? My foot is literally pushing my hip up into my armpit and down. So I'm not pushing my shoulder down like this. My shoulders are already down. So if you can see, my shoulders stay pretty even. I just lift and I squeeze that side, which makes this side really, really short. You'll hear me talk about a short side and a long stretched out side. This is what we're talking about, right? So you want to push your hip up into your armpit and down, up into your armpit and down, up into your armpit and down. Yes, we want to do the same thing with your feet closed. So we're going to do that same drill, right? So up, 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 and down. Legs are straight, shoulders are down and engaged. You know what that means? Roll your shoulders back and push them down. Ooh, mine just went crack, 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 crack. Push them down, yes? Hands on your shoulders, pushing those shoulders down and up. All the way as high as you can get it, and down, and up, and down. From the back, that looks like this. Up, all the way, all the way, all the way, and down, and up, and down, right? So we're just going to keep those shoulders pushed down and rise in the hip. That's creating our nice short side, and down, and up, and down. Yes? So, I'll do it from the side one time. Shouldn't be any different from the side, right? But you can see that, yes? Up. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to go ahead and do a little bit of hip rise, creating that short side with rotation, okay? So we're gonna rise and rotate. So before we get into rising and rotating, what I'd like for you to do is go ahead and spread your legs again, and we're gonna talk about twisting, right? We're gonna twist and twist, and this is gonna be rotation, rotation, rotation. So when we get here, and we're nice and straight with our shoulders, we're going to leave our shoulders. We're going to use our shoulders against our hips. So they're always going to be working in opposition to one another, right? So as we push a hip forward, we're going to be pushing that same shoulder and elbow back. I mean, my shoulder blade's like pushing down into my rib back there in the back. Push, right? Opposite side, and push. That's what we want first, just to realize how all this is working. So what I want you to do from here is I want you to go ahead and twist all the way right shoulder forward, right hip forward, right shoulder back, right? So my elbows and my hands are away from my body just so you can see how all this is working, right? So look how they were just still. I'm just pushing. So my hands really aren't moving much. It's my lower half, right? We're just isolating. Now what I want you to do is I want you to push this hip forward, right? So we're just creating this short side. So push that hip forward at the diagonal and wipe it around. Yep, and when it gets all the way to the back, we're going to go ahead and twist our left hip forward, shoot it to the front diagonal, and wipe it around. Yes? Forward, wipe it around. Forward, wipe it around. These are called figure eights, okay? So I'm going to show you that sideways too, okay? So when we do this sideways, it's the same thing. Twist, forward, trying to keep our legs straight. You might end up needing to flex a knee just a little bit to make it more comfortable. Try to keep them straight. Your feet are not going to swivel in this move. They're going to stay straight. So here we go. Twist, forward, push it back. Now keep it against that bumper. I want you to pretend like you got a nice chrome bumper over here and you're literally wiping that bumper off nice and clean. Once you get to the back of it, now you can move off of it over to the other side. Now this is called a figure 8 because we draw this figure 8 and then we make this straight line to make the other end of the 8 and straight and other end of the 8, right? So this way looks like this. We twist, forward diagonal, wipe it off. Forward diagonal, wipe it off. Forward diagonal, wipe it off. So we'll get into this motion, right? A little bit like that, right? So when we're here, same thing. When we rise, if we rise and have a hip rise with rotation, practice it like that. Rise, right? We don't want to push ourselves over. Rise and rotate. Now, when you've risen up and your foot is high, like this, it's allowed to swivel. When you're flat, it's not allowed to swivel. It's planted, okay? So, up and rotate. Right? All the way until this goes, all the way until you can't go anymore, till this leg just wants to bend, but it's not going to bend. That's the end, right? Nice short side on this side, nice long side on this one. So we're going to do the other side. Up, rotate. Let that leg swivel all the way, and look how I'm pushing the shoulder back. Push the shoulder back. Push it back, right? So it works against one another. As that hip goes back, this one comes forward, and we squeeze, 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 right? So this way, up, and swivel all the way. Yes, up, swivel it around, swivel it around, swivel it around, all the way, right? So that's just hip rise with rotation. Same thing when our feet are together, right? We can rise and pick that foot up and rotate. Now we're not going to get nearly as much rotation out of this. I would go ahead and probably pulse this out, but before you pulse it out, you need to know how that rotation works. Pick it up, squeeze that side, rotate. Let that foot turn a little bit. Put your heel down. Pick it up, push, heel down. Pick it up, push, heel down, okay? So from here, pick it up, squeeze that side, pick it up. Remember, if both legs are straight and you pick up a toe, it's the straighter, longer leg that's pushing your hip up into your armpit. So if you have a hard time remembering which one's your short side, it's always the longer leg, okay? So this is the longer line of a leg because we just rose on that right foot, right? And then around, lower, up, around, lower, up, around, lower. So the best thing to do with this is to pulse it out, right? So when we pulse it out, we can drop. And when we drop, we can drop and squeeze and twist all at the same time. So it's kind of like sticking your booty out, but you're not. You're really just creating a short side. So create that short side and roll it around. And look how when I roll it around, how that leg straightens. So pulse and pulse and pulse and. So where does that pulse go? To neutral, right? So that pulse goes to neutral, except it's neutral on one side, right? So even though I have one knee shooting out a little bit farther than the other, it's still my neutral position. And pulse and pulse and pulse. So this way, pulse and pulse and pulse and pulse. So it's probably not going to look as good if you keep both legs bent the whole time. You can do it, it's okay, but I would go ahead and get to that straight leg. Why? Because contrast just looks better. So finish it, right? Finish that line, finish that line, finish that line, right? All right, so same thing when your legs are apart, right? If you want to pulse it out when your legs are apart, down, right? And up, down, swivel that hip back, down, down, short side, right? Short side, and swivel that around. You can finish it up, you can finish it down, either way. So just play with moving that around. These figure eights, that's the best way to practice that hip action, right? So, and you'll use that everywhere. You'll use it all over the place all the time, right? So again, drop and drop and drop and drop. Yes? Okay.